superior ergonomics and remote trigger function allow you to stay in the action. Use it on the left or right with a quick rosette swap. Adjust your angle and stay on target without missing a shot. Whether you're built up or traveling light, you'll always have your finger on the trigger. And with our vast ecosystem of accessories, the perfect rig is right at your fingertips. Take flight with the new Condor Blue Trigger Wing Side Grip.
Show them what we do. Oh wow, that's cool. All right, we're getting close.
Yeah, we're getting close. Check,
right.
check, check, check.
Hello. Oh, good. It works.
All right.
I like that.
All right, guys. Welcome to another conversation, Condor conversation, as I coined the phrase. You like that, Lucas?
Whoop.
With a K. Conversations
Under
with a
with
K. I'm here with Bob from Blackmagic. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's great to be off the booth for a change.
Yeah. How has NAB 2023 been for you guys so far?
Oh, really busy. It was great to see a lot of the excitement around the new products, new updates to software, and all the good things that we were doing and getting good conversations. Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's no shocker here, but Resolve has really been one of the biggest topics of the show. There's a big new update this year. It seems like every year we get great new updates. And you were just telling me that you came to work for the company through the DaVinci acquisition.
That's correct. 2009, I came over. I was the youngest guy in sales at DaVinci and became the oldest guy at Blackmagic overnight. So sad but true. But yeah, this year 18.5. We called it 18.5 because pre-show we weren't sure how much was going to go in. And then when we got here, the list is long and powerful. You know, one of the great features that we announced is new audio to text. So you can, our neural engine analyzes the audio clips and creates text automatically for subtitling and things like that. So that was cool.
That's amazing. And then I think one of the standout features, at least to me, is the AI relighting tool. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, that's the second one I put on my list. Yeah, the idea is that what we do is we analyze the scene that needs this additional light. So it creates like a 3D mat that you're able to kind of use to justify, or to figure out where the light's going to go. And if the person moves, then the light will move with them, and it's not you doing all the keyframing. It's done by the neural engine, the AI, to resolve that mat. It's cool.
Wow. And that's just with just a straight normal video. That's not LiDAR or anything.
No. That's just, we analyze the clip, and then you get to put the light in where you want it and have it move to the end scene, so it knows it, like, if you attach it to the ear, say, then it moves with you, and you don't have to do all the keyframing. So.
Now, I mean, you mentioned you were the youngest at DaVinci, so that means you must have been working at DaVinci for a while.
Oh, no, it wasn't that. It's just that there were a lot of old people there.
Okay.
And when I got to Blackmagic, I said I was like the oldest guy, and they said, "No, you can't be. How old are you?" And I told them, they're like, "You're probably older." Okay, you're older than everybody.
Well, would you? I mean, basically, because you were with DaVinci, back then, and then now here we are. Did you ever expect to see Resolve in this way? I mean, it's really become one of the most popular, NLEs out there now. It's crazy.
I think if I had told somebody back when we were selling them for $500,000 that don't worry, someday it'll be free, comes with a camera, like whatever, they'd be like, Bob needs a home. So I think that, no, it is totally amazing. And the thing about it is, if you had that version from 2009, you'd be able to do some color. And like, that's it. But today you can do everything. I mean, Fairlight Fusion, the 2 cut pages, the color has gone crazy. It is amazing, and not only that, but the people that use it love to share how things are done, and like you can find out. I mean, sometimes I'm like, I forget how to do this. You Google it. There's a guy doing a video on how to do it. So that part's amazing. So. Yeah, it is truly astonishing to see all these people, and back then I don't think any of us thought it was going to be doing editing or Fairlight audio or any of these things. So it is wild.
It's amazing, and it's so the software has democratized the industry at this point, because obviously phone cameras have gotten so good. Even just like a real mirrorless camera, like a cheap, Canon or Sony camera, you can get for under $1,000, and somebody can start shooting movies and download Resolve for free and start editing. It's amazing. It's really accessible now.
It really is, and I think that, and then of course our cameras aren't all that expensive either, so we get people into No, it's fine, but I mean, we get people into the system that way, and one of the updates we did actually this year for the pocket cameras was to make them be able to shoot vertically for social media, and somebody asked me why we did it, and I said, why wouldn't we? And it was like,
why not?
That's pretty much the answer to that. We're not making everybody suddenly work. It's not like we change the timeline to only do vertical. So
there's just a lot of people doing it now.
And you have to embrace that. That there's different styles of everything, and that's why people do what they do. That's why there's really, we have auto buttons, but they're not really auto. I mean, it's not like, finish my movie. It doesn't work that way.
Totally. Yeah. I remember one of my first cinema cameras ever was the original Blackmagic Pocket cinema camera, the old 1080p tiny. That's where the name comes from, because it actually fit in your pocket.
So I call that the skinny jeans pocket camera, because that fit there. And the new one is more of a cargo pants pocket camera, because it'll still fit in the cargo pants.
I don't know if you noticed looking around the show floor, but cargo pants are back in style.
Only to hold their cameras.
Yeah. Totally. So we've got Resolve. What else is going on? We've got this, cloud-based stuff going on. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So, there's a few different additions in there. We have our new Cloud Dock 2 and Cloud Dock 4. So it's bring your own SSD storage with 10 gig Ethernet ports, either 2 on the 2 bay and 4 on the 4 bay, to get network attached storage off of the SSD drives. Good for on-set type stuff. And that's in addition to the other cloud things. But we also introduced some 2110 products for turning DeckLink cards into an IP HD card. So it has a 10 gig Ethernet port. We have one with a 10 gig optical fiber, and then we have one that has a combination of SDI and 10 gig Ethernet, so that you can get SDI in and out and convert it to SMPTE 2110. There's another box that we made. It's a 2110 converter, 3x 3G, so it's got 3G SDI in, out, and loop, and the 10 gig Ethernet port, so you can do lots of stuff into the 2110 space. It's early days. We're just kind of rolling these things out, but it's just another area that people want to work in. Even on our ATEM studio family of ATEMs, our HD8 ISO that we introduced last month, it has the ability to accept streaming cameras directly into the switcher without even using a cable. So just connected to the internet. So we're adding all kinds of different ways to work.
There's a popular fruit company that comes to mind when I think about your business model. The fruit company will make great hardware and essentially give the software out for free. And in a way, I can see that model working well for you guys as well, because everything just integrates well together if you're in the ecosystem of Blackmagic, with the cameras, with the switchers, with the camera to cloud stuff, and then that eventually leads to Resolve. It's just a great system that works so well together.
And the thing about Resolve especially is that it's not exclusive, right? So you can shoot with any camera, you can round trip to any NLE, we're very open from that side of it. But if you're in the family, as you say, there's advantages, because if we make the sensor, we make the camera, we make the codec, and it all works with Resolve smoothly.
And what's funny about the, I'll just go ahead and say, the Apple effect. I've noticed that Apple has been promoting Resolve more than their own editing software.
Well,
in their ads.
I'll say that we worked with them on their M1 and M2 chips to optimize for this workflow, because they acknowledge that people use more than one software, right? So just like we make our cards work with other things.
And I've seen some tests, and Resolve is actually faster than Final Cut in some ways. So it's pretty amazing.
We've optimized, and
awesome.
And now you can use Resolve on an iPad.
I know, it's incredible. That is really revolutionary to see such a powerful program available on such an accessible device, and it's portable. So even as a professional, it's not just for beginners. as a professional. You can be in the back of a truck, you know, after your shoot, ingesting your files and doing a rough edit, and then you get home and you continue editing on your machine.
Absolutely.
It's
Send the
amazing.
file to the colorist to say, this is what I want the look to look like when you get the footage, that kind of thing. Yeah.
So before we started talking, you were discussing how you interact with the ATEM on almost a daily basis.
Yes.
Talk about the switching and all that from Blackmagic.
I mean, when we pivoted to Zoom to do calls and whatnot, I started off with an ATEM Mini and a pocket camera. And I couldn't adjust the cameras originally, so I'm doing a lot of this. And then over time, as we introduced the ability to control the camera, so I could set up zoom and focus that way, and then as it grew and our switcher offerings grew, I now have 6 cameras that I use. I use 3 that go out the window of my office so you can see different things in Atlantic City. I have the 1 camera on me with a green screen. Then I have another green screen. I can get up and do the weather. And then I have another camera that goes over the ATEM TV studio now so that people can see buttons, whatever. So I've been able to like interact much better than just talking about things. I can show you everything that we're doing, and it works. It keeps me more interested because I'm like, this is, you know, interactive, and I like doing it. And I've been training and teaching people. And now we have the ability to send a camera from across the country to me, and I have control over it. And I can show them the software by putting that on screen so they can see me control the ATEM software and see the results of it, like with the camera moving or something like that. So it's been fun, but it gives you the ideas of things you could do all on, you know, one person's running this, you know, 8 input show.
So I actually worked for a company that made courses for photographers, and I used the ATEM for a post-production to speed up my post-production. It wasn't for streaming, it wasn't for any of that. Basically what I did is I took my one C70, you know, camera, I split that off into 3 HDMI. I just turned it into 3 of the same HDMI, put it in 1, 2, 3, and then I did my multicam like that, and every time I would switch to the camera, it was as if nothing changed on the video. But in post, in Resolve, you know, 2 was the zoom in of her face, 3 was the zoom in of his face, and it really sped up my workflow because I was able to essentially have a multi-camera with just a single camera, essentially.
Right.
And I know I could have done some stuff with the
Super Source or something like that. Yeah.
But I would have loved to actually have had like a because it was all in 1080p and like 30 frames per second. Like, are those things that will be addressed like a 4K? You know, can I ever do 24 frames on an ATEM or like?
You can do 24 frames, and we have 4K versions of different switchers, and yeah, there's a lot of things you can do.
I need to upgrade then.
Yeah, exactly.
I have the old one.
Yeah. So like some of the new ones, you have Super Source. You can put up multiple boxes at the same time. And,
cool.
And the one I have,
I need to call Joseph.
There you go. Right. Yeah.
He'll help me.
the HD8 ISO that I have. Whatever the switch is, I can record it, and then I get a DaVinci Resolve project, and I load it into DaVinci Resolve, bring in all the clips, and then I can adjust any mistakes I make.
You can relink, right?
Yeah, you relink and do all those things.
Yeah, I need to figure that workflow out.
Pretty wild.
Anyways. So Lucas tells me that you had a career in acting and comedy in the past. Is that true?
I still do, but you know, it's not the world's famous career, but you know, I still do comedy on weekends and things. Not when I have the Blackmagic uniform on, but actually in Vegas, I've done a couple shows at the South Point Casino, and it was weird going backstage because they had an ATEM. So I'm like, oh, cool, you guys are using ATEM? Oh, that's what we use for the screens and everything. Do you know how to use that? And I'm like, I don't know if I want to answer yes or not. I'd rather do comedy than be your TD, but that part is weird.
You're running the switcher on stage.
The worlds collide when all of a sudden you're backstage and there's a bunch of Blackmagic gear and you go, oh, okay, new normal, I guess. Yeah. And I've done other shows where this guy was going to live stream the show, and he shows up and he's got all this Blackmagic gear, and I did not tell him I work for Blackmagic. And but he's like, oh, you know, it's just, you know, it's easy. I said, oh, it's nice. I've seen the ATEM before. He's like, oh, you've seen one of these before? I go, yeah, I have. Because again, I didn't want to be the guy that had to do the work for that. I was trying to do comedy.
About 2 hours ago, I was in a meeting.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, that's why when I do comedy, I don't use my real last name. So that way you can't, you know, if you Google my official name,
It's
you get
Bob
a bunch of
Blackmagic.
Blackmagic videos, right?
Bob Blackmagic.
Right, but if you go for my comedy name, which I won't reveal, you get a whole different.
Oh man, I think a lot of our viewers are now very curious to know
Yeah.
what your comedy name is.
Well, that's all right. Not today.
So, I mean, what's the working relationship? Obviously, Blackmagic is in Australia, so is there a U.S.-based office
Oh,
here,
yeah.
or
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
just work remote? I mean,
Well, I work remote just because I was on the East Coast anyway.
Yeah.
Our Blackmagic offices are based in California. We
Okay.
have our main office up in Fremont, California, and then we do have a large Burbank office that I go out to every once in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I work for my home office. Well, it's not my home office, but it's an office that I use because I have so much equipment. I need my own place to
Sure.
do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're a global company, obviously, and before the pandemic, I used to travel 120,000 miles
Wow.
a year. Now I travel 2 million miles on Zoom.
Nice.
But now it's back to kind of a hybrid of that, and
Yeah.
we get the guys coming over from Australia for this show, and which is
Yeah.
great. I just feel badly that some of them only see Las Vegas in America, and that just seems sad.
That's all they ever see.
I mean, it's great here, but it's not the way the whole America looks
no,
like.
absolutely,
a little different.
Absolutely. They need to come visit you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Ursa line. It's a whole kind of different section from the Pocket. It would be considered, your higher end flagship. The 12K
Yeah.
is quite popular. In fact,
We
we
have
were
a new
talking
model.
to Joby. Jody.
Yep.
Why did I say Joby? That's the Gorilla Pod. Jody, and he was praising the 12K. He uses it on big productions, and
Sure.
not even in 12K. It's got the ability to do different resolutions.
Yeah, you can do 4K, 8K, and 12K. There's people that shoot like backplates for VFX stuff or virtual walls and things like that in 12K. The other thing that I know is a guy, he was doing a documentary. He shot it in 12K so he could stabilize for 4K,
Yeah.
and everything looked like he had a Steadicam.
Oh wow.
He didn't.
Could zoom into like
Exactly.
80% stabilization.
Yeah,
and
you
that'd
have
be
you
wild.
have 11 sections of 4K in
know,
a 12K image.
You could just use a Steadicam, but
It's
it's
cheaper
an option.
if you use the 12K and don't have to rent the Steadicam up. So I think that was
Yeah,
what he
you're
was
right.
going for.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
He was
gotcha.
going for cheaper. But
Gimbals exist.
yeah, but we just announced a new 12K OLPF. It's got an optical low pass
Yes,
filter.
I heard about that.
It's an option which one you want to buy.
Yeah.
But gave us Netflix certification,
That's awesome.
so that was cool.
Way to go.
Now if there's higher resolution glass,
Yeah.
the filtering is necessary. So that's what we're doing.
And anamorphic seems to continue to be such a huge thing now. We're seeing
Yeah.
so many great lenses. I'm wearing an Atlas
There you
hat
go.
right now. They make wonderful optics. Do you guys have any thoughts on anamorphic from Blackmagic's
I mean,
perspective?
we do anamorphic in camera, and on our booth we have all kinds of lenses. It's amazing. Some of them are so huge you need to hang off the back to rebalance it. 'Cause
Yeah, exactly.
I remember when we introduced that original pocket camera that you had,
Yeah.
we showed it on like a gigantic lens, and
Yeah.
people said, "Where is it?" And I said, "It's there. It's the thing hanging off the back of the lens. It
Yeah,
didn't need any
exactly.
support. It was just hanging off the back of the lens.
Yes.
It supported the lens, but not the
Yeah.
camera."
It was a lens
Yeah.
cap. Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Totally. So just to kind of close it up, what are some of the things that you've learned over the years in the industry? Anybody who's maybe up and coming and wants to do filmmaking, could be Blackmagic related or not, but is there any advice that you'd give to up and coming newcomers in the industry?
I think that when you're new, you need to listen more. 'Cause everybody loves to tell you what they're doing, and it's like, well, you're not going to listen. If you're not going to listen, you're not going to learn, right? So you need to learn before you think you're mastered the obvious, right? I remember there was a guy that he was an intern. He was 16, smart as could be, but he wanted to tell everybody what to do. Now, the truth was he wasn't wrong on a lot of things, but I finally said to him, you're never going to get to work with other people if they only think that you're going to talk the whole time and not listen.
Yeah.
And then he adjusted, and then, it worked. And
That's
that's the
great.
thing. I tell anybody that goes to school or any of these things, don't try to tell everyone how wonderful you are.
Yeah.
Listen and see if you can learn some things and put it into action.
Yeah. And I've always thought, too, just kind of let your work speak for itself in a way.
And that's what
Yeah.
will, right? So that will happen, right? But there are things you're going to have to learn.
It takes time.
Yeah, it takes some time. And don't live in dog years.
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
let it
Exactly.
happen naturally.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Lord willing, if you live a long life, this is a lifelong career path, and there's no
Yeah.
rush.
Right.
There's no rush.
I have worked since 1993. I have worked on the manufacturer side straight through.
Wow.
I was in post and production before that, but since then, so that's like 30 shows. It would have been 30 shows if we didn't have COVID. But
Sure, yeah.
So that's a long time,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people. And early days I listened. Now I just talk.
So you guys can go follow Bob's comedy career somewhere. I'm sure it's in the deep, dark web somewhere. Go find Bob Comedy. And, of course, be on the lookout for amazing products from Blackmagic. I can't speak to how impressed I am with Resolve. I have so many friends that are switching over, and it's been really exciting to see that. So thanks for coming on the Condor Conversation booth.
Yeah, thanks for
the
having me.
Condor Blue booth. And it's a pleasure to meet you, Bob.
Well, nice to meet you, and hello everyone at home. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.